Friday, and it is the Oil Stream presented to you by Boston Pizza. Kids eat for free in the month of September at Boston Pizza. If you're watching over on YouTube today, hammer the thumbs up for us. Any questions you have about the Oilers, let's go. Hammer those out there. Lots of time for your questions today on the Oil, so don't be shy. You can text them to us, 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999, and over on the Nasty Chat as well. We'll get into things, preseason action tomorrow for the Edmonton Oilers against the Kraken. A little bit of Jersey news today as well. Gazzola's down at the rink. Tommy, what's going on, buddy?
Hello, Dusty. A couple things. It is freezing in here.
Is that because you're wearing really short shorts?
My goodness, that text of the day was something. And then Trev's video yesterday.
Oh, that was good too.
And then on you and Gager and Cass on Two Guys. And I'm like, I don't even feel bad. I just think it's funny now. I'm like, what have I done? I'm just a normal guy wearing regular shorts, and look what happens.
Not that regular. Let's just say that. I mean, if they were regular shorts, it wouldn't have become like a major thing, right? That's just the fact.
I beg to differ. And then also shout out to Serena and the crew over at BP's in Sherwood Park the other day.
Man, was that fun? Yeah.
How good was that Stromboli sandwich that they made? A little birdie put it in her ear that you like those Strombolis, and she made you one. And then I had the buffalo mac and cheese. I didn't eat anything else the rest of the day. It was filling. It was delicious. It was so good.
My Stromboli loving reputation precedes me. It's like really I roll in and they're like, "Hey, just a heads up, that guy coming from Edmonton Sports Talk loves the smoked ham and chicken Stromboli sandwich." And I tell you, she made an excellent sandwich. It was terrific. Yeah. It's by far one of my favorite dishes of all time, anywhere, regardless of location.
I had a hunch it was. And then the other thing, too, it was that much better because she made it with love.
Well, definitely. I mean, it was a good time out there. Great crowd. Yeah. It was a lot of fun, man. We had a good time out there. We'll be at another Boston Pizza at some point for an Oil Stream as well. Over in the chat, I see this. Spanky Dufresne is in and says, Pocket 10s in the house. And Spanky is the guy who beat me with Pocket 10s when I had Kings. And he kind of went, I think he bet like 5,500 on Tuesday night. And I'm sitting there. The board was not a good board. I think Spanky, you can recap it if you want, but I think it was like 9-7-5 or something. And he scared me away with Pocket Kings. Totally rattled me the rest of the night. But basically, Spanky Dufresne was my unfolding at the tournament. Yeah. So I would say great to see you, buddy, but it's not.
No,
it's not.
You're hurting Duke's feelings because he's a nasty. So he grew up with my brother Paul, and he was texting me all about how he took you out, and I was still going over the emotions of my loss, getting rivered with a full house when I had trip nines. So Duke loves his poker, and he's a hardcore EST nasty. So respect.
As he says, he overplayed his overpair. I know, but that's what I have to learn to do. I had Pocket Kings. I mean, what an idiot. Whatever. I'll try to move on. I cannot wait. The next Lock Shop Poker Series event will be October 29th, Tuesday, October 29th. So you can start to get in on that one. Trent H over in the Nasty Chat says, Dusty, was there chicken tendies in that Stromboli? No, there wasn't. Just nice little chunks of grilled chicken, tons of sauce, tons of cheese, ham. Absolutely terrific.
You devoured it.
Yeah, I definitely did. All right, 780-218-9999. Tommy, you are down at the rink, so let's start there. What did we see from practice today?
Okay, this is, I think, the most noteworthy thing is they basically skated with their day one, game one roster today. Obviously, a couple of interesting notes in there with, Dermott and who was he skating? Well, Dermott was paired up with Stetcher. And there were no AHL guys, fringe guys in the mix outside of Dermott, essentially. So if you're looking for Mike Hoffman, well, he's supposed to be on the ice coming up here. I think they hit the ice in about 25 minutes for the second session. So they basically split the group into the guys on the team and maybe a couple of, Dermott's been in the league for close to a decade. So they give him that respect, fighting for a spot on the blue line. And then the guys that are essentially getting their tickets punched to Bakersfield in the next week or so. And I thought that was significant. And the players were talking about it today. Draisaitl was talking about Nugent Hopkins. This is kind of, we're already into the second week of camp. And there's no more like ambiguity to it. Like, oh, maybe this guy's going to fight for a spot or this guy. No, it's pretty cut and dry who's here and why, outside of Dermott being the PTO guy that's still, on the back end skating with the regulars. So that was really interesting. Now, in terms of what they were focusing on today, Dusty, lots of system stuff, lots of 5-on-5 focus, regroups, how they want to forecheck. And then, while they're doing the 5-on-5 forechecking, well, guess what? The other guys were working on their defensive system. So that was really interesting. And then they wrapped it up with some flow stuff, some 2-on-2 full ice, back and forth. And it was a full practice. And again, very calm, business-like, not a lot of demonstrations at the board, not a lot of yelling. I would say it would look like a practice mid-season when the day, or in a situation where the Oilers would have days between games and they would want to work on some stuff. That was basically what we saw out here with the main group earlier today. First time
that main group's been together, just them, full practice, regular practice. Okay.
Yep. With nobody, nobody spliced in or anything like that. It was just straight up like, you got 4 lines. They had 4 D pairs and the 2 goalies, Pickard and Stuart Skinner, and that was it. And so I think that's noteworthy.
So just the 4 lines, like there was no Philp, there was no Hamblin, there was no Hoffman, like you mentioned. There's no Hoffman. Okay,
none of that. None of that. So I fully anticipate them being out there in the next 15, 20 minutes here.
Do you think that group plays on Saturday? You got to give some of these other guys like probably one last look, wouldn't you?
I think they're going to still mix in a few of these guys, right? Because we're halfway through the preseason, and I think we're going to still probably see a Philp. We're probably going to see more of Hamblin. Maybe they give Hoffman another look. I think we're Draisaitl and McDavid today were saying maybe play 2 more games.
Yeah,
that would kind of be ideal for them. I think Nugent Hopkins mentioned he'd be okay with playing 3 more of the 4. But they're getting back into it. And then, a lot of people were asking about the rust and the short off season. Both Nugent Hopkins and Draisaitl just said, this feels like we're at camp now. So they're kind of back into the group. We'll see how their bodies hold up and the play holds up, in January. But it just feels like they're back into it 100% here. That's the sense we're getting.
All right, if you have any questions, 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999. Over on the Nasty Chat as well, hammer the thumbs up. It is the Oil Stream presented to you by Boston Pizza. Max makes an interesting question. He says, guys, if Dermott is only there for veteran respect, why not Hoffman? And I think it's probably just because the numbers would have been uneven, right? They ran 4 lines, and then they ran 8D. Yeah. That's basically what you're looking at. Now, with that being said, on Dermott, Tommy, what have you thought of what you've seen from him so far? And do you think there's any chance he lands a contract as a veteran left shot depth guy?
So far, Dusty, I mean, he's better than Josh Brown. I'll say that.
Yeah. Okay.
We can start there. For whatever reason, like Brown today was paired up with Kulak. Emerson again with Nurse, obviously. We're going to keep an eye on that pairing and see how that develops. But, it looks like Stetcher is the odd man out. He looks like the 7th D-man, and he was paired up with Dermott today. And I think part of, the veteran respect and also with Dermott being here on a PTO, I think they still want to give him more of a look because I don't know, Dusty. I mean, watching the first 4 preseason games, I didn't see much of the Calgary one. I just saw some highlights in Calgary. I was watching the game here, but it just seems like nobody's really taken those I don't know if we can even call them openings, but those positions on the right side, 2nd, 3rd, and then 7th defenseman, and talked about the pairings and then the 7th D-man spot. No one's really running away with it. I mean, Emerson, I think, has the lead out of the clubhouse, but outside of that, I mean, watching the game in Winnipeg, that was not a good lineup, but we knew and we predicted that would be the case, and everything that we thought would happen actually happened with them getting slaughtered by the Jets. And a very good Jets lineup, but on the defensive side, it's just kind of been like, well, who's going to do something? Who's going to take it? Haven't really seen that yet.
As they run these lines out there, the 4th line, Perry, Derek Ryan, Podkolzin?
Yeah, that's how they skated today.
All right.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting to see. Like we had Knobloch on this morning, which was awesome. He was great. When we talked a little bit about what we were talking about, finding chemistry and how patient do you have to be as a coach with the new line combinations. And he talked about, the Nugent Hopkins, McDavid, Hyman line was so good. You don't really want to touch that. And then down the stretch and into the playoffs, he basically said, Henrique, Brown, and Janmark, you really like that, which is, Skinner and Arvidsson then will be the new guys who have to find that chemistry with Leon Draisaitl. I think you can probably give Henrique, Janmark, and Brown pretty good run here at the beginning of the season because I don't think Corey Perry pries his way in there right off the bat. Derek Ryan is kind of fine where he is. I guess maybe Podkolzin, if he shows something, you could bump up him and flip Matthias Janmark down. But do you think we're going to see a lot of Henrique and Brown and Janmark together to start the year?
Yes. Knobloch, I like the fact that he kind of just tells you what the plan is. He doesn't throw up smoke screens, really. It's not really his MO and what he's thinking, unless he wants to keep it under lock and key. He just kind of gives it to you. And one thing he told us in the scrum the other day was expect Henrique, Janmark, and Brown to start together this season. And so today, for an example, we saw them in their line, and they're going to let them start to get their groove back and hopefully pick up where they left off last year in the postseason, where they were a very effective line. And, a motivated, healthy Connor Brown goes a long way. Janmark is a dog. And then Henrique is a good player. And even I asked Henrique the other day, I'm like, do you have a defined role? Do you, have you settled in here? And he goes, well, I can slide up. I know I can play wing on the top lines. I can provide offense, but I'm pretty comfortable with Brown and Janmark, and we'll work with what we have. But he's like, the flexibility, it's something you and I have talked about for years on Oil Stream. They have flexibility still with this roster, but he seemed very comfortable as the centerman for Brown and Janmark. And does that mean he gets 50 points again this year? Maybe not. But Dusty, for a third line center that can moonlight in your top six, 30 to 40 points, I think is pretty respectable, especially if he's giving you PK time. And then, as I like to call it, the myth, power play 2 time.
Yeah, PP2. Yeah, with Nuge, Draisaitl, and Henrique, you got 3 guys that you can flip around center wing whenever you need to, if you need to switch something up. So I think that's a positive spot that they are in. If you have any questions, if you're listening on TuneIn or iHeart or EdmontonSportsTalk.com, you can fire those questions over 780-218-9999. If you're watching over on YouTube, just throw them right into the chat. We'll try to get to as many as we can over there as well. Hammer the thumbs up and sub to the channel. We are closing in at 10.3K, so let's keep pushing that number up towards 11,000. This text came in a little bit earlier on here. The Oil Stream presented to you by Boston Pizza. And this is an interesting question. I've got some of the numbers brought up here as well. This question says, guys, can we expect the penalty kill to be as good as it was in the playoffs this season? Lots of turnover on the back end. So, Tommy, here's how the time on ice was broken down last year, regular season, on the penalty kill. And then I'll bring it up in the playoffs as well, just because, Henrique would have factored in some more there. So Cody Ceci last year led this team in time on ice, 200 minutes on the penalty kill last year. Darnell Nurse, 198. So those are the 2 guys who carried most of the heavy load. CC is no longer here. The next 2 guys on the list, 154 and 153 minutes respectively, Matthias Ekholm and Vincent Desharnais. So your 2 of your top 4 penalty killing defensemen are no longer here. Kulak killed 73 minutes last year, and Bouchard killed for about 27 minutes last year. And I'll bring up the forwards, and we can go over that in a second. But just starting on the back end there, can we expect the penalty kill to be as good as it was last year with some of the turnover time?
Well, in the postseason, remember it went on that monster stretch in the playoffs where it was immaculate. I think it was against Dallas, if I'm remembering correctly. I don't know. I don't know if we can reasonably expect it to be that good, Dusty, because it was just phenomenal. It was automatic. The 2 minutes, 4 minutes, whatever they were facing, they killed it. I think it sure as hell can still be better than it was in the regular season last year. Remember how bad it was? They were leaking goals on the PK left, right, and center for the first, I think, 2 months. And then finally Mark Stewart kind of adjusted some things when he really took over the PK and he got everybody in line. The forwards, Matt Cassian talked about it a lot post-game. The button hooks and the curls and the timing of taking away the middle of the ice got much more effective from the forwards, and that really helped out the D-men and the goaltenders, taking away lanes for the power play to find open guys. So I think if we're comparing it to last year's PK in the regular season, 100% it could be better. It could be in the top half of the league for the majority of the season. Who knows? Maybe it can even get into the top 10 if you want to be really ambitious and optimistic about it. But I don't know if they can reach the heights that they did on the PK in the postseason for a full 82-game stretch. But I don't think it's too much to ask them to be better in the regular season and not, they were lingering in the 20 to, I think they got as low as 28 at one point, Dusty. If I'm remembering reading out the stats pregame, and I'm like, geez, this penalty kill stinks. But it could be good. It can be a good PK. And yes, there's some different personnel on there, but for the most part, capable guys that can get it done.
I'm just looking at the playoff penalty killing numbers. Matthias Ekholm, 67-52 time on ice in the playoffs on the penalty kill. Cody Ceci, 53-46. Then the Nuge and Matthias Janmark at 53 and 49. Then Vincent Desharnais and Darnell Nurse at 46 and 40. And then the other four forwards that were penalty killing for you for the most part in the playoffs: Ryan McLeod, Connor Brown, Derek Ryan, Warren Fogle. So a couple of those guys out. Henrique did kill 19 minutes on the penalty kill in the playoffs last year, so you would assume he would get bumped up. And Broberg actually was killing in the playoffs a little bit for them as well, significantly more than Bouchard, who, somebody texted into our show, I think yesterday morning, maybe this morning we were talking to Knobloch, maybe it was yesterday, maybe it was on two guys and a goalie yesterday. Yeah, because we did talk a little bit about the blue line yesterday on two guys. Do you think they elevate Bouchard to killing penalties on a regular basis this year? Like, who are their four
question.
penalty killing defensemen? It would be Ekholm, Nurse. It's going to have to be Emberson,
Kulak,
and then Kulak, I guess.
Yeah.
So who kills? Do you put Emberson, or do you put Kulak with Emberson with Ekholm on the penalty kill, Nurse with Kulak on the penalty kill? I guess that's really.
Maybe?
I think so.
Yeah, and you put Kulak on the right side. Remember that Kulak played a bit on the right side.
He could play
year.
right side on a penalty kill.
On a penalty
I think you're probably
kill,
okay
yeah.
with that.
I mean, I don't know. I don't think you're throwing Stetcher out there, especially if Stetcher's your 7th D-man like he looks like he is right now. I don't know what Josh Brown is as a penalty killer. That's something, if you have that stat, if he did it in Arizona last year or the last couple of years, he is a big body guy. But I mean, I think who was it? You or Gager described his turning like a cruise ship, or
I said like a battleship kind of turns up like a battleship.
And, I mean, he did not, among many who did not have good night against Calgary in Calgary, he was, one of the guys that you're like, oh, geez, that was pretty bad.
He's a big guy who moves like a big guy.
Yes, that's a great description. So I guess for the time being, the guys that you listed, Kulak, Nurse, Ekholm, and maybe a smattering of Bouchard on the PK, unless Emberson wants to do it or can do it. That might be how they run. And then here's the other thing. That brought up this conversation today. Shoggy, myself, Reed, we're kind of like, okay, now what? Like, if none of these guys so far is taking this second, third pairing right side job or running away with it, all of a sudden, are we going to start to see like CC appreciation feedback?
I mean, we're already seeing that on chats and stuff like.
Exactly, and so now he's gone, and you have a hole on the right side. People wanted an upgrade on CC. I know that didn't happen. They're hopeful Emberson could be something, and then even Leon Draisaitl today, he was asked, what does this team miss about Cody Ceci? And he goes, well, first of all, great human being, and then secondly, he did all the little things, the non-sexy things on the ice very, very well, and part of that was PK. It wasn't pretty, but for the most part, it was effective. And all of a sudden, you're going, Cody Ceci would be just fine right now on that right side.
780-218-9999 is where you can chime in. Propane Pimp says, Kulak and Ekholm and then Nurse and Emerson. Why would you split Nurse from his regular D partner unless I misheard you? Well, and like I pointed out earlier, but last year it was Ekholm and Cece who carried the bulk of the penalty kill time together, right? So I don't think just because they're together at even strength means they have to penalty kill together. I think you take your top two defensive defensemen and put them out there on the penalty kill. It's funny if you guys are talking about the Cody Cece appreciation, if it should get that way. The problem is that, they're halfway through the preseason, pretty much halfway through the preseason. Mm-hmm. I don't know how any of those guys are really supposed to separate themselves because we haven't seen any of them play with Darnell Nurse yet.
Yeah.
Right. Like I want to see Stetcher play a game with Nurse. I want to see Emberson play a game with Nurse. I think it might just be Emberson as all we see with his Nurse. They got a little bit of tape on Stetcher with Nurse last year, but to me, it's impossible to separate yourselves for that job if you're not really playing with the guy who you're going to be doing the job with. Right, Tommy?
Very good point, and that's something we should keep in the back of our minds. So, if we're tracking Nurse. He was full participant again today, and I know the plan is for him to get in late in the preseason, but that's good. I suppose maybe it's asking too much, but you wanted to see one of those guys kind of like make a play or like outshine the others. And look, the other night, Dusty, the Winnipeg game in Winnipeg, like nobody really looked that good. I guess you could I noticed Drake Caggiula a couple of times. Connor Brown scored a nice redirection goal, but the defense was scrambly. Kulak and Emberson were the top pair. They had their hands full with a hell of a good
asking a lot of those guys who usually wouldn't be in that spot, and you could tell that they probably shouldn't be in that spot, right? Like
great point. And so the circumstance and the situation also hasn't led to a great evaluation tool, but. So maybe it's on how the Oilers have rolled out their preseason lineups, but I think, the next few games we should be getting more of a taste of it, and maybe some separation does occur.
I also go, why would we expect one of these guys to shine? Brown's a journeyman who might not even end up in the league. Stetcher was injured last year, tried to get back, and Emberson's played 30 games. Why would we expect one of these guys to shine in the preseason? There's nothing about these guys that would lead me to believe that they should be shining and should be separating themselves from the rest of the pack. That's not even an unfair take. One guy's played 30 games. The other guy, I'm not even sure some of the staff like him. And then Stetcher, we'll see how it ends up coming back together. So I have no expectations for any of these guys. So I'm not surprised that one of them hasn't stood out yet.
If I may, one of the quotes from someone who doesn't work for the Oilers but was scouting said, in regard to Josh Brown, I believe it was something along the lines of, did somebody owe someone a favor with that signing? And I just started laughing. So you reminded me of that. Thank you. Good point. And now, if this patchwork, let's say, is holding up, I think a lot of it will have to do in the regular season with how well Darnell Nurse is performing. Obviously, that has to do with his health, and that's with the expectation that your top pairing of Matthias Ekholm and Evan Bouchard are just rock solid, right? Giving you that foundation. And then if Nurse is playing good, that helps Emberson likely or someone else to stabilize. And then Kulak, you're hoping for a third pair guy can stabilize Brown or Stetcher, whoever it ends up being, or as a wild card, throw Dermott in there. And quite frankly, at this point, even though, like you said, we need to see these guys in their regular pairs in game action, I'm kind of looking at Travis Dermott and I'm going, maybe he's the right choice out of all of these guys right now. Again, we have a big week of games coming up to kind of determine that, and guys can assert themselves. But if it's not going well, Dusty, like 2-3 weeks into the season, and you and I and Rick and everybody Reed are talking about how rough it is on the back end for the Oilers, what's the plan, right? Like, what's the plan? You can't wait until the trade deadline if you're pissing away points and it's because your blue line can't keep the puck out of your own zone and can't make an outlet pass. So that's kind of, I think, where a lot of the hesitation and concern is from a fan point of view, and rightly so. It's interesting. It is kind of neat how it's it's kind of stuck in neutral, it feels like right now, and we'll see if it kicks into gear right away here.
Well, like the thing with Dermott is, yes, he's in on a PTO, but he is just as or more qualified to play in the top bloody 4 than the other 3 guys. Like he really is. He's got, I mean, he's better than Josh Brown. He's got much more NHL experience than Emberson. And, you know, he's kind of like a different type of defenseman from Stetcher, but their track record has kind of been the same. And he's 3 years younger. Like there's, I don't know. I guess maybe I have zero expectations for the other 3 guys they brought in, or, you know, including Stetcher. And I like Stetcher heading into last year. I'd like to see Stetcher get some run with Darnell Nurse. I don't know if it's going to happen. But I don't think you can make a case for any of the other 3 guys any more so than Travis Dermott, who's in camp on a PTO.
I'm with you on this.
Yeah, like
I'm with, and the proof on the ice so far, you know, doesn't lead us to believe otherwise so far.
Yeah,
add that and emphasize so far.
So we'll see how the blue line sorts itself out here. Let's see here. We'll get to a few of your comments. You can hit us up 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999. Guys, if crap hits the fan with the defense 10 to 15 games in the season, the plan should be to trade for Cam Fowler, who can play the right side if need be. Well, that's why I find it very interesting on exactly what happens. Like, at what point do they add a defenseman? You know they're going to add a defenseman. There's zero chance management will go into the playoffs next year with the 7 guys they've got right now on the blue line. It's just a matter, Tommy, of when they decide to add that body. That's really what it comes down to. I mean, if they don't, if they get to the deadline and haven't added a defenseman, that's a fail on management. It just is. No NHL team would take Stetcher, Brown, and Emberson into the playoffs as those, like, 3 of your 4 right shot guys. I just don't think that would happen.
I mean, if it did, you shouldn't be in management, and that's the back end you put together. So, the plan, as far as I know, and all the hubbub around here is the plan is to add something closer to the deadline. I was talking to Pagnotta the other day, and he's hearing the same things, talking to his sources, that they're hoping that this thing sticks and holds well enough for the first few months of the season, and then closer to the deadline is when they can go and make a move, and I hope somebody shakes loose that they've got their eye on.
All right, let's get to some of your comments over on the Nasty Chats. You can also text us. We'll get to more of your texts. If you're watching on YouTube today, sub to the channel or hammer the thumbs up. Anyway, Zedmo says, guys, Josh Brown is as tough as they come. Maybe he doesn't play 82 games, but there's times he should take a lap or 2, maybe even send a message, which I would reply by saying, who are you sending a message to in the National Hockey League in 2024? Lomberg, when you played Calgary once? Like, who are you? Like, you don't go out and send a message really anymore. I mean, it doesn't. You're sending the message to a non-existent guy who doesn't fight on the other team. I don't know. I don't buy this. I don't buy you signed him because he's tough. Like that. You don't do that on a Stanley Cup roster in 2024. I'm sorry.
I understand, Dusty. Like, and I understand where Zedmo is coming with that, and I don't necessarily disagree. You make a good point. Like, Ryan Reeves is not even an everyday player, and I guess he's the reigning heavyweight in the NHL. I know Rempe in New York is kind of taking that away from him right now, and that's fine. But Rempe has to play too, and that's something he had to work on, was his skill and his skating and being an everyday NHLer. And it's good to have toughness, and it is good to intimidate. Maybe we see Brown in there to do that from time to time because, you know, the Oilers have team toughness more so than anything, and without Evander Kane as well, because Kane can certainly be intimidating physically, and they'll miss that. That the goon of yesteryear and ones we grew up with watching and loving and admiring, it's not a thing in the NHL anymore.
So we'll see how that sorts itself out. Haggard Prospector over on the Nasty Chat says, guys, I tuned into the Blues game for a bit and felt better seeing Broberg standing in no man's land, covering nobody and doing nothing while Seam Pass went behind him and spotted in the net for a goal. So I guess you can always point those things out as well.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to a few more of text messages. Herb's host says, guys, they can't afford to wait any more than 15 games. And by the time everyone else sees there's blood in the water, they're not going to give anybody away to the Oilers. It's a crapshoot. By the way, can we ask Tommy what he's wearing on his bottoms today? I don't think there'll be a panic move on the blue line. I think whatever the move will be made will already be well thought out. And I think they're going to start well. So I don't think they'll be pushed into the situation. I just think you need to make your blue line better come crunch time for a team that is a contender. Tommy, you must have pants on of some sort today. What are we looking at?
Do you want to see them? Like, do I have to show you?
I do. I think everybody does. I think we do.
Oh my.
Yeah. Let's see these pants today. Oh, you know what's weird is that those pants look like you're not wearing anything, and it looks like you're down at the rink in just your legs. That's it.
They're khaki pants, like they're like khaki jeans, I guess you'd call them. So I'm not wearing shorts. Yeah. Anyway. Yes. Anyway, I'll leave it at that. Can't believe we're talking about my pants.
All right, Calvin C says, guys, just like the Joker in the Dark Knight scene, Knob needs to throw down a hockey stick in front of Emerson, Stetcher, Dermott, and Brown and say we need a second pairing right-hand D. There's only one job available. Remember that scene? But
Great scene.
And we're having tryouts. And he busts the thing in half and lays it out. I absolutely love that movie, man. God, yeah. I love that movie. Great reference. I think that's pretty good. Smitty the Welder says, whether you like it or not, there will be players taking liberties with Connor and Leon. The others are very weak in that spot right now. Tommy, do you think we are 10 games into the season, early November, late October, you're doing post-game and being like, the Oilers are struggling because teams are taking liberties with McDavid and Draisaitl because Desharnais and Kane aren't around anymore?
No, probably not. I mean, the guys that can take liberties generally aren't on the ice when their teams are losing, and if McDavid and Draisaitl and the rest of the forwards and offensive punch this team has can get leads, hang on to leads, I don't think we're going to be seeing liberties taken with quote-unquote tougher guys on other teams. Now, if they're getting beat up by other defensemen, that's kind of on them, but I don't think that's going to happen.
People are curious about your skin-colored pants that you are wearing to the rink today. I think it might have just been the video.
Khaki.
But like that being said, khaki is kind of skin color. Like if you were going to see with the way you're standing right now, I guess. It is kind of funny though. It's from a distance. Somebody would be like, "Oh, I see Tommy's wearing short shorts again." Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that, by the way.
Rusty Shackelford is in. Those are zip leg style pants to have shorts at his disposal anytime. Is that true?
No,
okay.
Not true. Incorrect. I love this though. So this has become a funny thing, and I'm all for it. So you can't hurt me anymore.
No, it is. It's been the most talked about thing on the station for the last 48 hours.
Reed did a limerick about it yesterday.
Did he do a limerick about your pants, about your shorts? Man, I was listening this morning on the way in to the Reed Wilkins Show replay, which is the perfect way to start my day. And I heard the limerick on Trey Ford and the Elks. I heard the limerick on... Well, I heard the first two. Was Zach DeCamere you're here now. What were the limericks? Yeah, Tommy, what were the limericks yesterday?
He did like a bonus one where like the last line had to do with my short shorts.
Oh, okay.
Things popping out. And I was like, wow, that's the icing on top.
Well done, sir. Yeah, I heard the Elks one with Trey Ford and then the White Sox. The White Sox sucking. All right, those are the two I heard. Real funny bit, actually. I love sport limericks. That was good. Zach, who won the debate yesterday? I was listening to the debate, and then I had to get gas and shut my vehicle off briefly, so I missed who won.
Yeah, well, it was a debate between what would be a better superpower, flying or the ability to have super strength.
Yes.
And just because of like the monetary value and what you could gain from being strong, and you can buy a jet if you're getting money being strong, I give it to Jay. So
that's lame. That's a lame. But by far,
it was logistical.
By far, flight. Now, how do you pick the debate winner? Like, is it just you? And if he convinces you, that's it? That's how the debate gets won?
Now, Yeah, this is the third time we've done it, and before they kind of thought that I was biased coming in, so they picked the topic this time before I did it. The previous 2 times, and no, that I kind of just listen here. I try and be as unbiased as possible.
Okay, yeah.
And they give me the most logical responses. Like when Reed started, he gave me the first argument, and I was like, okay, I get that.
I listened to Reed's argument, and then I heard Glue Guy start up.
Yeah, and
then I had to shut it off.
The second Glue Guy, he brought up the fact that it's like, if you're flying, what else are you gonna, you might save money on an Uber or something. It's kind of cool that you could fly, right? But if you're super strong, you could lift a car and be like the world's strongest man and get money from it. Like you could do a lot from it, and it could be
try
like
to turn the world's strongest man. Yeah. You don't think you can make money off people being like, hey, I'm gonna go watch a human fly. I think you could probably make money.
That wasn't his rebuttal, though. He didn't bring that up, so I'm only hearing what they're bringing up.
Come on, Reed. I think you could make, I mean, I would rather fly than be the strongest man in the world. Tommy, what about you, Zach? Would you rather fly or be the strongest man?
Now, I would rather have strength, but coming into the argument, though, I would like flying would be sick. Like that would be the cool one. And then Jay convinced me otherwise, so he won the argument. Now I would love to be super strong.
Tommy, what do you think?
I think the ability to fly, go anywhere, however you want.
Yeah.
You're just limitless, right? Strength is great, but
people, they're like, to me, all Reed had to say yesterday would have been, we have strong people on this planet. We don't have humans who can fly. It would be the most unique ability of all time. I mean, yeah. I don't know. Like, I'll tell you right now. Can you tell me who the strongest person in the world is? No, you can't.
No, I don't know.
If there was one human who could fly, do you think we would know the name of the human who can fly?
Of course.
100%.
That guy can fly.
Yeah.
Like, he's the only one, or she's the only one. Like, it would be amazing. I wish I could be Spider-Man.
Yeah.
That'd be the best.
Well, it was Hancock. Remember Will Smith? Hancock, he was super strong and could fly.
What a character that was a good movie, actually.
I liked Hancock. Yeah, that was like weird Bateman time when Jason Bateman hadn't really blown back up yet, but was still pretty good.
By the way, Jason Bateman, I actually had an Arrested Development reference today because Paige Martin from Oilers TV was wearing her leather jacket, and she was like, I miss Joaquin. I love his leather jacket. And I was like, we love Joaquin and his leather jacket. And I had to tell her and show her the Leather Daddy scene with Tobias Funke, where he's like everybody's buying leather. Maybe and George Michael are wearing leather, and maybe's like, I'm really into leather right now. And Tobias sells his wedding ring to have money to go buy leather, and he's in the store, and he goes to the guy, I need something that says Daddy likes leather. And then the guy leans in and he goes, you mean leather, Daddy? And he gets the assless chaps, but he's in never nude, so he's wearing the jean shorts.
He's in never nude, that's right.
Yeah. And he's got the chain and he's putting it around them. Classic.
Our leather daddy just walked in. Joaquin Gage is here. He's ready to roll. EST Afternoons coming up at 1 o'clock with Hernan Salas and Joaquin Gage, followed by the Reed Wilkins Show, which will be live from Century Casino Sports Bar and Lounge today. That will be rolling from 3 until 5, and then the Green and Gold Kickoff Show from 5 until 6. Watch party tonight with the EST crew at the Century Casino, Fort Road. It's going to be a fun time. The Elks got to have this game against the Bombers. I see Pat Janik over in the chat saying, Dusty, we'll see you tomorrow. He's usually in Regina. Piss Jug, I have to say, I'm not on a game this weekend. I have no work this weekend.
Nice.
My CFL experience this weekend will be embracing the watch party tonight between the Elks and the Bombers.
I'm looking forward to that, actually. It's gonna be fun.
Me too. I'm looking forward to just sitting back and watching a CFL game, to be honest with you, with other people.
Hey, do you feel like you're missing out, or are you kind of like, no, I'm not. The other guys take it.
I don't know why I'm not calling a game this weekend. I'd rather be there in Winnipeg calling this game than sitting with. I love you guys, and I love Century Casino, but I'd rather be there calling this game. So there's 3 games in the West this week. I don't have one of them. It's kind of a weird quirk in the CFL schedule, I guess.
Yeah.
But I'm back. I got the Elks Riders. The Elks Riders next week.
On the 5th?
Yeah, Elks Riders on the 5th. Yeah. And then I got Elks Stamps the following week. So right back at it. It's nice to have a weekend off. I'm not going to lie, especially a long weekend because we're not doing shows on Monday. So it'll be, I'm fine with it. But I know I'm going to have like some FOMO this week being like, send me to Regina or send me to Winnipeg. But
that's natural.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think so.
Yeah.
T-Mac is in it. Says, guys, I always debated why an NFL team never signed the Flash to a contract. That's.
Do you remember? Was it Usain Bolt? I think he played some pro soccer. And
yeah, he did play soccer after, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. And then even like Donovan Bailey, I think there was like some talk back when he was the world's fastest man. Like some football teams, why don't we sign him and see if he can catch a ball? He'd be a great receiver. It's in like LeBron talking about playing football. What do you say he'd be, like a receiver or a linebacker or something?
I think he'd be a receiver or a tight end.
Yeah, he's a
kind of
right?
a freak, being one of the fastest players out there and also a giant.
Yeah.
So
he's the best basketball player of all time, according to my friend.
Beautiful. Well played, Tommy. I think your shorts are just fine.
Thank you. Oh, this is good.
Jason the Leduc says, can we rename Tommy's balls Puxatani Pills? The Puxatani Pills.
Oh my God.
That was up today. The text of the day today was Balzac Tommy, which was pretty good too. It's continuing to roll along. 780-218-9999 is where you can get in. Northside Sandwich says, guys, things I never thought I heard anyone say. Please send me to Regina or Winnipeg. I like those cities, man. I like both Regina and Winnipeg. I have good times when I'm there. I mean, I'm usually in, call a game, go out for a couple of drinks, come home, or fly somewhere else. But
Winnipeg, I like. I never had issue with it. Like when I was traveling with the Oilers, I always had a good time. And like in Edmonton, like you can stay in the pedway system and not go outside when it's like unbelievably cold. So I don't know. I always had a good time. People are fun in Winnipeg. They're very friendly. So I never really had a rough time in Winnipeg at all. Now Regina, I haven't spent a ton of time in, but when I was there, I was like, oh, okay. Like I enjoy I would take Saskatoon over Regina if I had to.
They're different cities. Saskatoon and Regina are different cities.
Totally. I've never seen a football game in Regina, but I hear that would be like a fantastic experience. I'd like to experience it.
Yeah.
But Winnipeg, no issues with Winnipeg. I always have a great time. I think the people there are great. They have great sports facilities too, unlike Calgary. So I think that's noteworthy.
The thing about Winnipeg, and I really respect this from Winnipeggers, the Bombers are bigger than the Jets in Winnipeg, which is I think so rare in this country for a football team to have a bigger and more passionate following than the hockey team.
Absolutely.
It's different. Like you got to get fired up for 9 Bombers games. They've been to 4 straight Grey Cups, but Princess Auto Stadium is, I mean, they're throwing in 33,000. It's sold out. The Jets aren't really selling out a ton of games. Like It's crazy. They absolutely love the Bombers in Winnipeg. That place is going to be nuts tonight.
Dusty, that reminds me, and yeah, it should be sold out, which is fantastic. Huge game, obviously, with playoff implications for the Elks. But that reminds me, too, you know how, we hear about, like, the Oilers raising ticket prices or, jersey prices, merch prices are ridiculous. In Winnipeg, like, if stuff price point goes up, they actually walk away. They don't go to those Winnipeg Jets games, even though there's like less than 15,000 seats in that building. Here, this place is going to be sold out the majority of the regular season games, and then the stupid prices people will pay for playoffs. Now, don't get me wrong, you're watching some of the best players in the world. This is a very unique window of time in oil country. But like in Winnipeg, if they're pissed off at their sports teams, they let them know by not showing up, not buying the stuff, and telling them to go F themselves until they course correct, as they like to say.
780-218-9999. Penner's Pancake says, guys, what is the jersey update? Yes. Tommy, you said you got a little tidbit on jersey news. What do we got?
Yeah, just an update. So St. Louis, of all teams, unveiled like 2 special jerseys for this year. And I was like, hey, what the hell's going on? I thought there was no regular special alternates this year. So I was texting with people, marketing people with the Oilers, and And I was like, you guys are just sticking with the 2 jerseys, the home and away, like you told me last year, right? And they said yes. Just the home and away for the Oilers this year. They wanted to get rid of the Navy alternates, so they've done that. And there will be a new alternate jersey next year for the Oil, a new 3rd jersey, different concept, something we haven't seen before, and something that they were very excited to roll out for next year. They've been cooking it up for a couple of years, so it's coming to fruition.
Is it, I don't know if you know any details on that one. Is it like a retro style, or is it something completely fresh and new?
As far as I've been told, fresh and new. I know there's been people asking if the Oilers are going to go back to the late 90s, early 2000s jerseys. No, they're not. They're not going to bring those back. I don't think this business side is too fond of the copper and blue and that copper and navy blue color scheme. But yeah, it sounds like it's going to be a new concept. They're very excited about it and looking forward to rolling it out, and they'll have it for next year. So this year, just the regular home and aways in the royal blue and orange, the classics, and then something new next year. And then just in regard to like alternate jerseys that are going to be worn this year, because the Caps are going with like a reverse retro type of thing that they're bringing back as their 50-year celebration. You have to get special permission from the league to wear those uniforms. So the Blues rolling out 4 different jerseys this year. They had to get permission from the league to go out and do that, basically, is what I was told.
Of course, if you are looking for Oilers jerseys, one place to get them. Our partners, the Cookson Boys over at Pro-Am Sports. Check them out at proamsports.ca. The Fanatics jerseys are available right now at Pro-Am. You swing on by and see the guys, or you just hop on their website at proamsports.ca. They also have a signing with the Nuge. The deadline is Wednesday, October 16th to get your items booked for that.
Hey, and another thing with the Play Alberta patch on the jersey.
Yes.
They're apparently they're just kind of gauging to see if fans actually want the Play Alberta or not on their jerseys, whether or not they roll them out or not, for fans to be able to buy. I thought that was interesting.
Tommy, you're a jersey hardo. Would you want the exact jersey the team is wearing, or would you rather it without the Play Alberta patch?
Me personally, like I just like jerseys in their purest form as a jersey hardo. So I would want no advertising on mine. But there are people that want exactly what the players are wearing, and there's people that get new uniforms every year that apparently would want that. So right now they're kind of gauging interest. And I found that fascinating because clearly people have reached out and said, I want the patch just like the players are wearing. Now, Dusty, I think someone mentioned that if you want like a game, not game worn, but like the game jersey, the authentic, you can get it, but it's like $520
for a jersey.
Yeah.
What do you mean? $520?
Yeah, for the exact jersey they wear on the ice, like the same material, tie down strap. You can get it, but it's like 500 and something bucks.
That's a lot. I mean, I know it's like an upgrade on the other jerseys you can get, but that seems, jeez.
Yeah.
My God. But that seems to be getting a little carried away.
Did you see somebody drop $35,000 on I think it was like a McDavid jersey, a game worn?
$35,000?
Yeah, and they got hit with a $2.50 bag fee. On top of that, they showed the receipt. It was like, wow, impressive.
$35,000? I did not see this.
Yeah, I think it was a game worn. So,
like at an auction?
I think they had like a mini locker room sale here last week. I think part of Fan Day, if I'm remembering correctly. But I saw it. So it popped up on social media, and the joke was they got hit with a $2.50 bag fee.
My goodness. Here, I'm just looking at this one too. No, this is a different one. This wasn't at like a jersey sale. This was in June. Connor McDavid 97 2024 Stanley Cup Final Edmonton Oilers game worn jersey worn during Game 3, which was a loss. Mm-hmm. The closing bid for it at auctions.nhl.com was $70,100 to say you own a Connor McDavid jersey from a game in which they lost in the Stanley Cup Final. That's pretty wild.
It is incredible. It really is. I mean, memorabilia, merchandise, stuff like that. It's fascinating. I kind of get it, but not to that extent. And if you got the money and you want, those are the types of things you want to spend it on, your toys or your fun.
I've got to the point where like my basement is completely, it looks like a spin-off show from Pro-Am. Like somebody's just like, we have no room left at Pro-Am. So like, I have no room left in my basement anywhere for sports memorabilia. That's why I haven't been buying as much lately. But I mean, you have to be obviously super duper rich if you're paying $70,000,
of course,
for a jersey. I'm trying to think what my most expensive piece of the collection would be.
You have good stuff though. Like
I have nice stuff. Like I've been collecting for a while. I don't think I've ever. Actually, the most expensive piece I have in my collection is probably that damn autographed hoverboard. that's
pretty sweet.
I mean, that's autographed by Doc Brown and Marty freaking McFly. So
yeah, great stuff.
I'm trying to think from a sports perspective. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I've ever gone like 34, 35, 36, like that type of like that's always crazy.
No. I have the Warren Moon like signed Eskimos portrait. But I saw it and I bought it at a golf tournament. I was like, this is amazing. It's really well done, framed up nice, and he's in the green and gold at Commonwealth, and I'm like, yeah, I'm getting that. But I think it was only a few $100. Outside of, and I don't collect stuff that's signed, but I have like a Gretzky signed thing to me. Like that's what I like. It's like if I met them or know them, like I have a Matt Hendricks jersey signed to me, you know, like that's what to me that means a lot, rather than being like, oh, this guy wore it during the Cup final in 1988 where Boston won, you know what I mean? Like
I do have a Gretzky autograph stick from a camp, you know, the Gretzky reality camp or whatever.
Yes,
a guy, it was St. Albert Rob back in the day. He was at the camp. Gretzky signed the blade of the stick, and then he brought it back, donated it to a charity auction that I was helping organize. And then I got drunk at that charity auction and bought the signed Wayne Gretzky stick. It was the Dirty Birds auction. You were there that night.
Yeah.
I bought that autographed Gretzky stick and then slept with it in my car that night in the parking lot at Original Joe's in Sherwood Park. I remember I woke up in the back of my SUV, like holding on to an autographed Gretzky stick. Which I still have in my basement. So
I respect that. Fun
story there, I guess. I guess I probably would have paid quite a bit for that one. But I mean, it was an auction, like a silent auction. Yeah. And I was just like, screw it. I thought it was good value, so I ended up anteing up and getting in that one. So yeah, that's amazing. That was fun. Yeah,
that's amazing.
Penner's Pancakes says, guys, I highly recommend Pro-Am. Kenny is awesome to deal with over there. Look, man, we do business with good people. The cooks and boys are good people, and it's a great place to go get all of your memorabilia
Dusty,
and swag.
I've got one for you. Could you value or evaluate my Jason Strudwick
$40
signed New York Islanders reverse retro jersey that I have proudly displayed in my office / studio at home?
Oh, it's an Islanders jersey. Okay.
It's a reverse retro that Struddy signed to me.
$25.
Well, I got it for free. Thank God.
That's because Struddy's a beauty too. All right. That's going to do it for the Oil Stream today. Tommy live from the rink. The Oil Stream brought to you by our great partners at Boston Pizza, where kids eat for free in the month of September. And thank you to everybody who came out on Wednesday for the live Boston Pizza show out in sure. I know they're interested in doing it again. Went very well for them. They're already talking about doing it again. So that we might find ourselves back out in Sherwood Park, and hopefully this time I take the right turn and I don't have to go all the way through Sherwood Park to get back to the Boston Pizza, which was just a short turn away from me, and I missed it. But whatever. That's a story for another day. EST Afternoons coming up here. Hernan Salas, Joaquin Gage. I'd pay $35,000 for a Joaquin Gage jersey. I'll tell you that.
Me too.
Yeah, that show's coming up. Reed Wilkins, Jay Milne, live from Century Casino, Fort Road today. Watch party going down tonight. I'll be there for that one. It should be a lot of fun watching the Elks and the Bombers tonight. The Edmonton Elks simply have to have that game. Tommy, enjoy the rest of the time at rink. I'll see you tonight, buddy.
See you
That's
tonight,
going to do
Dusty.
it for the Oil Stream. Stick around. EST Afternoons on the way next.